All right, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. Back again, myself and Shane. There's a massive elephant in the room that we're going to have to talk about. Man United getting knocked out of the FA Cup on Wednesday night by Grimsby on penalties. Probably should have
Carabao
lost in
Cup.
regular time, but what did I say? FA Cup? Yeah,
It's that FA
yeah,
Cup, yeah.
that's that's a big blunder there on my behalf already. Early days, but yeah, we are
Bit
recording
like
this at the end
United.
of the full episode. As you, yeah, true. I'll let you say what you think first. What did you make of that game?
I don't understand what has happened to Manchester United. Um, it's great, it's hilarious, but they put out a team last night that wasn't exactly the weakest team they've ever fielded. They had still had a number of starters from the weekend, um, and then having to make three changes at Grimsby at halftime to bring on the likes of Bruno, the likes of Embuemo. It shouldn't get to that point when you're playing the team in League Two. They bullied you for so much that first half. I know in the end you had more shots and more possession. Of course you did. You're the Premier League team. They
Doesn't
were miles better than you for the start of that game. The two goals, Onana must be doing it on purpose at this stage. Like you can't actually be that bad. The fact that he could have saved seven of those penalties. He gets his hand to about seven of them, and they all just go further into the corner. I
He only
like
jumped one
how
way
you've
for
gotten to the stage
literally.
where all your goalkeepers, yeah, yeah, you've gotten to the stage where none of your goalkeepers would get a game for Cardiff. Like it is actually, it's gotten that bad. Like they're all horrific. It's like I just can't get my head around it. Really can't. I don't understand. And now selling Kobe Manu apparently, or might be, makes none of it makes any sense to me.
That Manu thing, like, yeah, we're probably going to touch on United next week because there'll be more
Mm.
certainty around who they sell and if Amarim is still there next week during the international break. So we'll probably deep dive on that and more issues. But we have to talk about it because it just happened, and I think Manu to go would be horrendous. Let's talk about that next week. If he goes, I'll
Yeah,
give my full take on that. But yeah, I would not be happy. And that would be one of the lowest moments, really. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. Grimsby were the better team. It doesn't matter who had more shots or possession. They were the better team. As you said, they bullied United. They deserved to win in regular time, but they managed to get it done on penalties. So they deserved it, and brilliant for their fans and all that stuff. But United shouldn't. They shouldn't be losing there. Doesn't matter what tactics you have. Doesn't matter what manager you have. They should be able to go out there and play. Now, the issue is not off the manager. He's still part of the issue. There's so much issue with the application of those players and the effort they could put in against Arsenal, and then the effort they've put in against Fulham when things started going wrong, and then against Grimsby, they did not want it one bit, and
no.
that's a massive, massive issue. And getting rid of the manager is not going to change that. So I don't know where they go from here. But he needs to change some things as well about himself, about his tactics, and he needs to get away from being wedded to one system. But yeah, the players
He,
are
he needs to stop.
stressful.
He needs to stop offering himself for the sack as well. Every chance he gets, I'd say he's offered himself. If they want to sack me, they can sack me. He must have said it four or five times at this stage. It's such
He
a
said it at
strange
the
attitude for a
yeah
man who's managing one of the biggest clubs in the world.
he said it at the end of last season.
It's actually like he's begging to be sacked. Yeah,
Yeah, and he said
he's
at the
just
end of
begging to
last
be
season, and
sacked.
then last night he kind of said that he said that the players did their talking on the pitch with what they want, and they'll decide during like all these like things. He's way too emotional after games. He seems like he's too
Mm.
young to be a manager of a team with this much limelight, and he lets things get to him very easily. And he's obviously a top manager, but this might not be the right project for him right now.
Yeah,
So
it might be too early for him.
yeah, we'll talk more about it anyway next week, but we had to get a little touch on that before we get into the episode.
I just
And
have
so
one
go
more
for
thing to
it.
say on it. Um, Tesco taking the 10 penalty was very strange.
Yeah.
Your
Um
new star striker taking the 10th penalty, but I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good look.
yeah, I had that in a tweet I put out about the main questions Amarim should be answering, and one of them is that because there's clarity needed on that. He had cramp was the report that's why he wasn't going to take a penalty.
Okay.
So whether you believe that or not is up to you, but that seems like a
Hmm.
viable reason. Until I found that out, I was very confused as well myself.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Fair enough.
yeah. So anyway, we'll get more into the whole situation at United next week while we have a chance for an international break. And see what's going on after their game at the weekend with Burnley. Probably could be another loss the way things are trending. But
Mm,
um, this week we covered a lot of good topics. And we previewed our last two NFL teams of the season before our full season preview next week. So those were the Broncos and Chargers. Then moving on from there, we moved on to football. We took a quick look at the Champions League draw for all the English teams and who they're going to be playing. We chatted about the return of the long throw-in and the tactic that is, and how it's going to play a part this season, and how it may play a part in the Arsenal Liverpool game, which we previewed. That's the big one this weekend. Usual transfer roundup. Not as much this week as other weeks, but next week is going to be the big one, the last week of
mm,
the season of the window. And then we previewed three NBA teams again. This week we touched on the Bucks, the Pistons, and we rounded up with the Bulls, who again we rounded up with a team that were pretty, yeah,
yeah.
not the greatest to talk about.
You were saying,
Um,
yeah, you were saying at the top that we covered a lot of good topics and the Bulls is what you
yeah,
should have said
true.
at the start of that there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But then we made up for it with the
Yeah,
last topic because we drafted the best Irish sporting moments into since 2000. This is probably the hardest that we've done to pick, down to five each. But I
definitely.
think we both had the exact same list pretty much. And we each got five off our lists, and we touched on some class moments and we chatted through them. So I really enjoyed that draft. I think it's the best one we've done. So that's it for this. This is going to be a really good episode. So we hope you enjoy it, and let's get straight into it. All right, so let's jump into our two NFL previews. So these are the final two we have left where we're fully diving into teams. And then next week we've got two episodes coming, same as the Premier League. We've got a full preview and we've got a couple of guests coming on. So keep an eye out for that one. It'll be coming on Wednesday before the season starts on Thursday. So first team that we're going to touch on today is the Broncos. A lot of buzz around them right now, but where do they need to improve most from last season, do you think?
So I didn't actually realize this until I was looking it up, but they were 29th in offense last year. Far too many third down situations. So they really need to try and get some for early success, try and get some first downs that work instead of always kind of pushing it to two and three downs, putting themselves under pressure constantly. I know they still won a lot of games, but imagine what they could do if they were like more more decisive in first downs, if they could like use the ball better at the start and instead of it always needs to get someone in that's going to be a big man to do the running on a 3-2 or 3-3. So I think they really need to improve on their early downs.
Yeah, I actually, before I get into mine, interesting point on that was about the drop back of Bo Nix during the season. Like early in the season, he was dropping back more and trying to force things and figure out what he wanted to do. And they were actually playing pretty poorly. And then later in the season, his drop back was short, which would show shorter passing.
Mm,
So while that did work for them as the season went on, like teams are going to figure that out quite easily. And so, yeah, they need to figure out what else he can do. And first down is the time to probably dabble in some of those things instead of
absolutely.
missing. But I said something offensively as well that they could just do with a bit more of a kick to it. Like their defense is very good, and it's hard to just rely on that. I know that even if it was the best in the league, which defenses change from year to year, it's very volatile. But I do think that they have enough good players for it to continue to be good. But they need something more in the run game as well to help Bonix. He's not exactly a world beater yet. He had a great first season, but the system was very much one dimensional, as we kind of already mentioned.
Mm.
So I'm thinking that they probably know that already if they drafted RJ Harvey and they have JK Dobbins there now, so they're hoping for a bit of explosive running. So maybe they've already identified that, but that's somewhere I thought they could definitely improve.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, yeah.
Yeah, overall defensively there's not much we could really say. So it's
No, they're solid.
offensively definitely that they'll be looking to improve. But three players then on the team that you think are going to make the biggest impact.
Like you actually mentioned two of mine and kind of did an overview of another one. So I Patrick Surtain. I think he's just such a good corner. Four interceptions last year, one which he ran back for a turn for a touchdown. Just think the man just he's a star. He's an absolute star, and he just keeps getting better. He's still only 25, so he's only gone one way, and that's further up.
Mhm.
Aside that, I have put in Bo Nix. I think it's a big year for him this year. I know we say that a lot about a lot of people, but him in particular, I think he had a solid enough year last year. As you said, he's still far from the finished article, but 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions last year. If he can bring that up next year to 35 and 8, I think he's in a really, really good place moving forward then. And finally, then J.K. Dobbins, for all of it, you said, they're looking for explosive running. 9 touchdowns last year, 905 yards, really solid. If he can break that 1,000 yard mark next year, add another couple of touchdowns, who knows what the Broncos can do heading into next season.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like all those shouts. I think especially with Sertan, like how good he is at such a young age, as you mentioned. Like people don't realize how young he is, and then he won Defensive Player of the
Mm.
Year last year, which is so rare for a cornerback to do that. So yeah, good shouts. But I had actually three different players, so covering off a lot here for the Broncos. It shows the depth that they have. But I like the addition of Evan Ingram. I think it gives Knicks a big target to aim at. And he was reliable throughout the years with the Jags, even when they had a poor offense. I think the Giants gave up on him too early, so Sean Payton is definitely going to dial up something here for Nixon. That might probably give him some early nice passes to settle into because he has reliable hands. Secondly, Zach Allen. He's an unbelievable talent. Sometimes he's overlooked because the sack numbers aren't there compared to some of the other guys, but you have to remember that he does play as a defensive tackle more so than off the edge. And the way he gets to the quarterback is just unbelievable. The pressure he can apply. So last year, looking at some of the guys he had more pressures than Chris Jones, Micah Parsons, and Nick Bosa all last regular season. He had
Jesus.
more pressures with 75, and he had the most QB hits in the league with 40. 7.5 sacks, but he's hitting the quarterback 40 times, putting him under serious pressure. So that's one that they have an absolute star. And then Dre Greenlaw, I thought it was a good pickup. 3 years, 31.5 million contract. After that freak injury in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, where he was running on to the pitch from the sideline to celebrate, and he just destroyed his calf, an
Yeah.
ankle. I don't know what was it officially. Maybe it was Achilles, but he was out for most of last year. Not the first injury he's gotten, but when he does play, he's basically a tackling machine. 82 solo tackles in 2022 and 75 in 2023. So he has that pedigree as well, getting to the Super Bowl with the Niners, as I mentioned. So I like that pickup, make their defense even better. Then looking at the over under for wins, it's 9.5. Last year they had 10. Personally, I think they're going to get there just with a solid system around the quarterback, a solid defense. I think it's kind of generous. They probably will manage to reach that, especially if we do expect the Chiefs to take a step back. We probably do see the
Mm.
Broncos taking a game off them. So, what did you have?
Same as yourself, yeah. I think between 10 and 12 is a very, very realistic for him this time around. I just said 10 wins last year. They're definitely going to get the playoffs again this year. I think they're definitely going over.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people are really high on them, so I'm surprised the line is still low. But
Oh, no, yeah.
yeah, like it's probably going to shift around. Obviously, you can bet the alternate lines, so if you do fancy them a lot, you can go higher. But that's the way it's set at the minute. Then for their ceiling, I said that they could win a playoff game. I think people are going a little crazy with the Super Bowl predictions that they can get there out of the AFC and that they can really cause waves. They are a good team, but I don't think they can get that far. I think they can win a wild card game, which would be better than last year, where the Bills really showed them what it takes in the
Mm.
playoffs. So, yeah, I think they can go one better than last year, but it's early days for this whole system yet. So I think they need some more time before they progress.
Yeah, I'm the exact same as you. They can win a wild card game, but they're not going any further than that, really.
Yeah, I think people are probably, it started out with a few people really getting high on them, and then everyone jumped on the bandwagon, and now it's just like the team, and now people are kind of trying to go the other way because you don't want to be the same as everyone else. But I think just remain even keel pretty much the whole way and just see them for what they are, and they're an improving team,
Mm.
but they're not really up there with the Bills, Chiefs, or Ravens as of yet. So last team preview: Chargers. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
So I think Justin Herbert needs to improve massively. He's 6-13 in one score games, which is absolutely horrific. I know we talked about it a couple of weeks back, but he is such a problem from here. He's terrible in fourth quarters in accuracy, success rate, yards per attempt. Tight games, he's awful. As I said, 6 and 13. He really, really needs to improve if they're going to have any hope of doing anything ever again.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing. We need to see more from Herbert in big games.
Mm.
Like they couldn't take down any elite teams. I'm pretty sure they were like 0-6 against like winning teams at one stage last season. And he does have a really big arm, and he showed that in his early years. But now they're going very, very run heavy. But I think if they use the speed of Lad McConkey and their new wide receiver Trey Jones, I think they could really rack up the yards with him to break up the running game. But I think they're going to run the ball like mad. But he does need to use his arm more, and he needs to get involved more in these big games and actually get them a playoff win before we can start, really, really backing him highly
Having anything
because
nice to say about him. Yeah.
yeah, he has all the potential, but and he is a very good quarterback. But when you can't do it in big games, there's only so much that you can be said for you. So looking at three players, I'll take this first, the three players to make the biggest impact because I already shouted one out. Lad McConkey, so good last season. As a rookie, he had 1,149 yards on just 82 receptions with 7 touchdowns. He was overshone a bit by the likes of Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., but he has incredible ability and his speed down the field is very, very important. Another player that they picked up just recently is Joe Alt. I think it's really important for him because although he is their right tackle now with Rashawn Slater getting injured right after they paid him, he's going to have to shift to left tackle. And having somebody who has the ability to do that is a blessing. So he's a massive one for
Mm.
them. And I have no doubt that he'll fill in that spot nicely. Lastly, then Dayon Henley. It's kind of an under the radar pick, but linebacker picked in the third round in 2023. His progression is crazy. In his first season in the league, he had 9 solo tackles. Last year, he had 84. That included 7 tackles for a loss and an interception. So he's going to be a massive one on this defense,
Yeah.
especially kind of playing
Jesus.
in the heart of a Harbaugh defense and linebacker. Yeah, I really like it. So he's my third pick.
Yeah, we only have one the same there, which again kind of shows there is a good bit of depth to this team as well. I also had Lad McConkey, obviously. I think he was just an obvious one to pick. He's going to come on so much more this year if Justin Herbert can throw him the ball. Outside of him, I went with Audric Estime, the fifth rounder out of Denver. He's just something that they're probably going to have to rely on quickly. They've lost J.K. Dobbins now to Denver as well as we just mentioned, so I think he's the one that's going to have to step in and kind of just get going from the start. And then Tuli Tupeluto,
Yeah,
with Joey Bosa gone, I think he's the one that's going to need to step up as well. He's going to need to be the key kind of the pass rushing force for him in this season coming.
yeah, he's a solid player. They've got such a strong defense with so many big players on it. Um, but yeah, the running back situation is definitely an interesting one with Dobbins gone. And last year they went Gus Edwards as well. That didn't really work out. So I wonder will they see
Mm.
more success this year in who they have? Because yeah, they've got obviously they drafted a running back as well, Lamarian Hampton. So I don't know. Let's see what they can do there because I would like to see, as we already said, Herbert to throw the ball more, but it's highly unlikely with the way they play. Over under is the same as the Broncos, 9.5. Do you think they're gonna hit it?
I don't think so. I just really, I'm not high at all on Justin Herbert doing anything this year, and I know they have talent there. And what I'm going to say when we ask about the ceiling is going to completely contradict me, but I just don't think they get there. If everything goes away, I think it's going to go.
Yeah, I have them getting to it because I just think good coaches generally help the teams get there. And if you look at the entire AFC West, it's all brilliant coaches. I think I picked all of them to get over. Or no, I didn't get to pick the Chiefs. I picked the other three to get over.
Mm.
Probably that kind of ties in with the Chiefs losing a few wins. But yeah, I think 11 last year, they'll probably get around 10. I think just a good defense and a strong run game with a good head coach is kind of it's a very good recipe. So that's my opinion on that. But what's their ceiling then for you with the current roster?
I think if things go to plan, I think their upside they can challenge for the AFC West. They can reach the playoffs. I think they are good enough to do that if everything goes right. I just don't see everything going right for them.
Okay, so I've gone with they'll get in to the playoffs at like a wild card level, and I actually think they could get to the AFC Championship game if Herbert steps up and he plays well, and everything else continues to motor like it did last year. Like that defense was unbelievable last year, and
Mm.
like
They
the
have
way that
lost
they
Bosa now
play.
as well, though.
Yeah, they've lost Bosa, but again, like how reliable was he considering he had a lot of injuries down the years? I
Mm.
think that you don't want to be relying on a guy that had consistently was getting injured towards the back end. And again, he is a great player, of course, but I don't want to say he's the worst brother, but he's not the same as Nick. So um I think they have so many good players on that defense and so many hard hitters. I just can see that kind of football getting them there. Now, do I think they will get there? You'll find out next week about my thoughts on that. But I think it's a possibility with the squad that they have. So that's our last two NFL teams done. We've covered them all, and we'll move on now to football. So the other type of football, soccer, if you will. A return of some old tactics in a sec, but first we're gonna go through the Champions League draw for the English teams because that just came out today. Would have come out yesterday for when you're listening to this on Friday. So do you wanna go through what we've got, Shane?
Yeah, I'll just go in order here. So I'll go Chelsea first. So Chelsea have Barca at home, Munich away, Benfica at home, Atlanta away, Ajax at home, Napoli away, and then Pafos at home and Karabakh away. So not the worst job for them. Like their
Um,
pot three and pot four teams are okay. I mean, the fact Napoli are a pot three team after winning the Serie A is a bit mad, but that's how it goes. For Liverpool, it's Madrid, Inter, Atletico, Frankfurt, PSV, Marseille, Qarabag, and I are Galatasaray. Um, I don't like it, but we'll have to deal with it. City have Dortmund at home, Madrid away, Leverkusen at home, Villarreal, Napoli at home, Bodo Glimt away, Galatasaray at home, Monaco away. Arsenal have a tough one as well. So they have Bayern Munich, Inter, Atletico, Club Brugge, Olympiacos, Slavia Prague, Kairat Almaty, the Giants who just knocked Celtic out, and then Athletic Club away to finish up.
mm,
Spurs have Borussia Dortmund, PSG, Villarreal, Frankfurt, Slavia Prague, Bodo Glimt, Copenhagen, and Monaco. That Spurs Bodo Glimt game is, I think that was the semi-final of the Europa League in the year just
yeah, it
gone.
was.
Um, and they found it hard down there. So we'll see what it's like when they're playing each other in the
Yeah, it's
Champions
on
League
like
now.
on a plastic pitch over there. So
Yeah,
I think that's the
get
first time
covered
in
in
their
snow
history.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the first time in the Champions League in their history. And then finally, Newcastle have a tough one as well. Barcelona at home, PSG away, Benfica at home, Leverkusen away, PSV at home, Marseille away, Athletic Club Bilbao at home, and Union SG away. I wonder if Isaac will be playing for Liverpool or Newcastle away at Marseille. I'll have to wait and see.
well, he definitely won't be paying for Newcastle anyway. It doesn't look like
No,
he's ever going
probably
for
not.
again. But I think the hardest one there actually is probably Liverpool. Um,
Mm,
that Quarterback game is obviously going to be a handy one. Galatasaray is a hostile environment we were talking about before we started recording. I do think they could probably still get the win, but it's tough at the top there. The main few games, the Chelsea one sounds pretty easy to be honest. So they got a nice draw.
they always somehow get away with it, yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of good games. That's the way with the new kind of league format. There's so many good games, so we'll be
Yeah.
keeping an eye on those, and we'll be chatting to you about them as the season goes along.
Yeah,
So
just a
we're
quick correction there. So it's actually Liverpool have Atletico Madrid at home, not away. So it's Madrid at home and Atletico both at home. So I think I
okay.
said three away games in a row there, which makes absolutely no sense.
No, fair enough. Either way, tough all around.
Mm,
So moving on to our first topic then for today is just something that has kind of resurfaced in the last year or two, but especially in early in this season, looks like it's a massive part of teams' tactics. Long throw-ins. So week one of the Premier League season saw 11 out of the 20 teams try at least one long throw-in, and that's compared to four in the season prior. And that didn't include Newcastle or Man United. Newcastle scored with one against Liverpool, and Man United tried
yeah.
it a couple of times, but they weren't able to throw it long enough. So there's definitely like 75% of the league doing this. What do you make of it?
I love it, to be honest. Like Liverpool had a throwing coach at one stage, and they were like, "Oh, we have a throwing coach now. We're going to start throwing it along," and they just never did it. Even when they were 1-0 down going into the 90 minute, they never would let Joe Gomez take it long. It was driving me insane. So
That's the
I
type
love
of
the
thing. If
fact that it's now
Arsenal had a
coming
guy
back.
like that, you'd be absolutely roasting them for it. So
Well, they do have now. They have that Calafiori taking long throws now as well, just to add the insult to injury with the fact they're already set piece FC, but we'll talk about them in a few minutes. I think long throw, then big number nines seem to be back in fashion. Like Liverpool signed Ekitike, United signed Seshko,
mm,
City obviously have Haaland, Gyökeres for Arsenal. He's not as big, but he's still like he's a presence up top. They're all kind of gone back to big physical number nines, long throw-ins, corner to the back post. Everything has gone back to the early 2000s. I'm absolutely
yeah,
all for it. I have no issue with it.
obviously the main man that began this was the Irish Rory the Lap launching
Yeah,
balls into the Stoke penalty box. Like you even had teams putting the ball out for corners instead of throws for the fear of the long throw, which is mad. Looking at some more stats, then Opta had a good bit on this because obviously it's
yeah,
a prevalent enough thing, but they had 32 total in the first week of the
game week,
Premier
yeah,
League season, which was 3.2 per game, much higher than pretty much any other season. But obviously, it's just a 1 week sample, so that can change over the season. But it's a bit mad. This has been really brought in by Thomas Frank massively. He had Spurs eight times in the first
mm,
couple of games that they played. That includes the PSG game and their first Premier League game against Burnley. That doesn't include the City one, but eight in those first two games, and all of last year they only did it six times.
yeah.
So it's like teams
It's
are
mad.
looking to do this because it worked so much for Brentford last year. They scored 5 goals from it and created 7.2 xG. So obviously Frank is just bringing this tactic over to his new team.
Yeah, Liverpool finally appointed a set piece coach today as well after 18 months of trying to find one. Um, I think we're going to see it continue. Like I know it's only 2 weeks and it's mad, but like Spurs are going to keep doing this.
Of course, yeah.
Arsenal, any chance Arsenal take or any chance Arsenal get to like get an advantage over anyone in anything, they're going to take it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing this time. Like
Hmm.
any little advantage they can get, Arteta's going to use. So they're going to keep going if they have someone that can throw it that long into the box. And then Brentford, I nearly called him Stoke. But Brentford aren't just going to leave it because
Yeah.
Thomas Frank is gone. It was Keith Andrews who was the man who was on the set pieces last year. So he was probably the one doing all the training on it in the first place. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think there'll be at least 5 or 6 teams who continue to use this over the course of the season.
Yeah.
Livermento's ones caused Liverpool so much trouble on Monday. There's no way he's going to stop it anytime soon. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's here to stay.
We're seeing guys that people didn't even know could throw the ball in long just starting to do it now.
Yeah.
And obviously teams are trying to find who can do it. Like last season there was 19 goals in total scored from throw-ins. That was 10 more than any of the previous 5 seasons. So that's
Mm.
why teams are doing it because there's a clear advantage to be had. Um so tactical tactical changes. We might see some bigger forwards and some bigger centre backs coming into play here to
Yeah.
deal with this type of thing.
I think the fact that you can't be offside as well means that people are just
Mm,
kind
yeah.
of like running off the back of their defenders coming around them to try and get the first flick on as well, which is a massive help. You can't do that at corners or free kicks, obviously, because you get flagged. But from throw-ins, you can do what you want, and
Well, the corners are
it's
kind of
mad. I
safe
think it's
enough
going to be
because
interesting. Yeah,
because
yeah, you're not going to be caught
but
offside in the
freeze.
corner, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but freeze, yeah, it is a better situation than you almost nearly have a long throw now than a free at that side, like on the side of the pitch. Um, so that could play a big part in the game we're going to chat about. So Arsenal versus Liverpool is obviously the big one this weekend. Super Sunday. Going to be a very interesting game with a lot of tactics at play, and we'll definitely see some
mm.
long throw-ins. But obviously, you being the Liverpool fan, we'll throw it to you first. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
The only thing I'm nervous of with Arsenal is the fact that Liverpool can't defend set pieces, it seems, at the moment. They were so bad against set pieces against Newcastle again. I know they conceded one from that throw in, but every single corner they were at six and sevens. There was one where Allison had to punch it twice to get it away and put it out for another throw in and led to more trouble. Like it's the set piece are a killer because Kanate's head is all over the place. He doesn't know if he's coming or going. Our two fullbacks are a combined 6 foot. They're both so small, and then when Canate can't win a header, it's only really Van Dijk back there who's the natural defender that's able to win a header. So that really scares me. Other than that, Arsenal haven't been great in open play to start the season. I know they scored five against Leeds, but we were only saying the other day that Leeds are a bit crap. Sorry,
Mhm.
Connor. But Leeds are going to struggle this year. And I was looking, the Arsenal's XG from open play in the first two games is only 1.96.
And they played Leeds in that
They
game in
Yeah,
the game
and
alone.
like they were lucky against United as well. United should have scored in that game 100%. The fact they didn't was more about United than it was Arsenal. So if we can keep them out at set pieces, then I'm not too worried about them doing much from open play. That Crocker is just not the one. I know he scored twice. He should have given the penalty to Max Dowman or Jurriën Timber instead of taking it himself, I think, personally.
Yeah, we
Get
did.
Timber the hat trick or get the 15-year-old goal scorer. You're 4-0 up.
Didn't we say, like we've
Yeah.
mentioned it already, that he will score penalties and against lower level teams? Now, we're well prepared to eat our words if he bangs in a hat trick at any stage, but for now,
Yeah.
like that's the clear thing, and that's already been the first bit of evidence has happened where he didn't score against United. He was a passenger, and then what he did against Leeds. And my uncle is an Arsenal fan. I was just talking to him the other day, and he said he's still really unsure about him. But the one thing I will point to about them from open play, Eze is going to be his first time playing for them, and that's going to change a lot.
Mm.
Sometimes, like we've already mentioned as well with Gyökeres, like he needs to play like on the end of balls into channels and link up and stuff like that. But they don't really play that way usually. But then against United, it almost seemed like they were trying to play that way, but De Ligt kind of was very physical with him, and United
Yeah.
had two centre backs, so he found it difficult. But I think if Liverpool are open and Arsenal actually can counter attack effectively, which Eze is very, very good at that, he's very good at picking the right pass and having some flair to him. So that would be something that I would point to being a big part in this game if he kind of shows his level from the very start and he unleashes Gyökeres a little bit. But in general, I think set pieces will be the main part of this game. Arsenal will be happy to sit back and allow Liverpool have the ball. They did it against United, and they'll happily do it
Mm.
again and try and get some set pieces and some counter attacks going. They'll do whatever they have to win. And I think Liverpool, while they've showed their ability to score very, very freely, they've been very underwhelming in the first two games, especially defensively. And I
Yeah.
think
And
Arsenal are going to get the
there's
win here. To be honest, I'm giving them a two
oh
one. I think they're going to just get one set piece goal and one counter attack. Liverpool will inevitably score because their attack is so good, but Arsenal just they know how to defend, and they're going to get this grindy win, which I think then will in turn probably wake Liverpool up after this to see, yeah, we need to do something about these set pieces.
mm. You think the Arsenal are going to win at Anfield?
Yeah, I have them winning.
Man, I actually went for the 2-1 Liverpool win. You won't be surprised.
Not
But I do have
surprising.
a couple of negatives for Liverpool that I do want to mention. Geez, Florian Wirtz really struggled against Newcastle the other night. The physicality, the pace of the game, he just really couldn't get
Mhm.
into it. He did take a couple of nice passes, but it's like when you really want him to kind of step up and do something special, he wasn't in the place to do it.
Mhm.
Um, Even Herbert came on and looked a bit more lively than Wirtz was. I know it's late in the game, it's a lot easier then, but I think Florian Wirtz is waiting for a moment, kind of just something where he like scores a goal or gets an outrageous assist and that'll get him going. Be great if he could do it this weekend. That would be a really, really good time to get going. Uh, the set pieces, yeah. Liverpool are struggling at him. Kanate has been absolutely awful. Um, Kirkes as well. What's he doing for that Newcastle goal? Like, not even looking at the ball. His back is to he's looking into the net. He's the
Just the
best view of the
awareness,
ball hitting the
like
back of the net.
no awareness of what's going on around him.
Mm,
It's alarming, to be honest.
yeah, it was
Especially
really
when
strange to see.
your other fullback is not even a fullback and he's doing a better job.
I
That's
thought he was class.
yeah, that's quite alarming. But yeah, I just think there's too many issues in the first few weeks. I really do honestly think that Liverpool are lucky to have 6 points at this stage.
Oh, I
And I
couldn't
think
agree more with you.
I think Arsenal are as well. Don't get me wrong, but I just think this is a quite interesting game. It's going to be a chess match, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I agree with John Verts. He was completely bodied out at Newcastle game, and this is not going to be any easier with the physicality of
No,
Arsenal. But yeah, he does need something to settle him because you can't be worth that much money and then go 5 6 games without doing anything of note.
Yeah,
So it's getting important now that he contributes. So that's our football covered off. Just wanted to give a shout out to Keith Andrews managing to get his first win as well for Brentford, a big win against Villa, fair play, and then they
yeah.
won 2-0 in the cup against Bournemouth as well. So off to a very good start, and the players clearly are rallying around him, and there seems to be a good kind of vibe around the team and stuff. So
Mm.
happy for him and happy
This
to see
after I
him.
said to get relegated as well, so thanks for that, Keith.
Yeah, a long way to go, but Keith is doing his best so far. Let's stay on soccer then and move to the transfer roundup. Considering it's going into the last week, sometimes it does get a little bit quiet the week before the last one. So the next episode we do is international window. We'll have a lot of time to spend on transfers, and we'll probably touch on the window as a whole. But there'll be a lot more to talk about at that stage than there is right now. But the
Mm.
ones that have gone down, first of all, Tyler Dibling gone from Southampton to Everton, initial fee of 40.5 million euro, and then another is seeing James Justin go from Leicester to Leeds for 9.3 million euro. I think he's a very very bad defender, so I don't really like that
Mm.
whatsoever. What's your take on those two?
I think it's a lot of money for Tyler Dibling, but I do think he's a good player. But when you look at the price that are going around the summer, we said it every week now, 40 million is absolutely nothing anymore. Like when Django Otaro is going for the bones of 40 million as well, then there is really a real problem. I know he scored now, but
Yeah,
I
but
I
still,
think like Everton needed someone like him, and I think it's kind of beggars can't be choosers. They just have to pay what you're going to have to pay to get these lads. Matthias Fernandez talks of him going to West Ham today for 42 million as well.
yeah, I was
There's
just
like
about to say that.
players coming from the championship costing over 40 million. That's three in the last week, and because Omari Hutchinson as well was
Yeah,
horrific last year, and now he's playing for Forest at 40 odd million too.
I wouldn't mind.
I like the Dibney move.
No, I was just going
Go
to
and
say I
say,
wouldn't mind some of the players that actually like played for a team that weren't Southampton. But how are
yeah,
Southampton players going for that much? Like
yeah.
it's
How are
nuts.
Southampton getting 80 million for two lads that got him one win last season?
Yeah,
And then James Justin, like there's a reason that he's been at Leicester for so long, is because he actually can't defend.
yeah,
And now Leeds, who showed they can't defend last weekend despite having seven lads who are over 6 foot, are like, yeah, let's go bring in a right back who doesn't know how to defend as well. Great stuff.
yeah, yeah. I don't understand that move, and I saw Leicester fans posting compilations of all the mistakes
His
he made over
fails.
the last few
Yeah.
years. It's not good viewing. A next one then is Eze gone from Palace to Arsenal, 69.3 million euro initially. And they've got an absolute cracking player on their hands there. We kind of touched on him before, but any other thoughts on Eze?
I think he's class. I think he's only going to do good things there for them, which is very unfortunate.
Hmm.
Um, I really like. I think it's mad that it's taken until he was 27 for him to get a move like this because he's been showing this kind of promise for the last 3 years. So I wonder if it was just kind of now is the time. If he didn't go this summer, he was never going. He was going to be the next Wilfred Zaha. So I think for 70 million, probably a bit on the high side again, but every transfer's on the high side this window. So
Yeah, I think
can't say
it's just
much.
because he only broke out when he was kind of in his 20s and
Yeah,
broke onto the Premier League high level like maybe 3 4 years back. So that's why the move is coming at this age. And I think yeah, I think that's the best transfer that Arsenal have gotten in this window. I really really like it.
yeah,
A couple of other moves then. Forest still making a charge at things. They've gotten Douglas Luiz on loan for 3 million euro of a loan fee, which is, I think, a cracking move because he's a very,
great
very
deal.
good midfielder and he has a lot
Mm.
still in him. And then Andrew Moore and gone from Brighton to LAFC in the MLS on loan. Ridiculous move. For a player that has a lot of potential, I think this is just a bad, bad career move. Badly advised. He could go anywhere in Europe when he's
Mm.
chosen to go over there. It's a really bad
He
idea.
won't be going to the World Cup,
No.
as far as I'm concerned now. I think that rules him out of any hope of getting in a World Cup squad because Ireland are definitely going to the World Cup, but
Oh, we're
I don't
going.
think he'll be going. Like, it's very Heimer has promised us. Said gets Booker hotels grand and early. Grand Heimer, get us there. But you believe in Andrew Moore in LA? I don't think he'll be part of the squad somehow.
Nah, he's not in the qualifying squad for the first round anyway,
No.
and that's why he was still with Brighton during the summer and training. Now when he's over in America, it's not going to happen.
Killing it, yeah, you won't even hear a word about him for the whole season now, unfortunately.
No, not at all. Next two then, Noah Okafor gone from AC Milan to Leeds. Another 19 million euro spent by Leeds on a guy who can't really do too much. There's a reason why Milan have sold him. I don't rate him that highly, to be honest. And then Amin Adli gone from Leverkusen to Bournemouth for 21 million euro. Potential there, because he had a good season a couple of years ago, but quiet enough last year. So yeah,
Mm.
what did you make of these two?
Noah Okafor is a fella who's been threatening to break out since he was 15 and has just never done it.
Mm,
Um, you hear his name every single summer. Oh, this is the year now. Noah Okafor that goes and does something. Maybe he might find it doing it this year. He might bag 20 goals and he'd stay up. I
yeah,
think there's more chance of Ruben Amorim
you
having a
getting a
job at the end
chance
of the
for that?
season than there is of Noah Okafor scoring 20 goals. But I honestly don't know enough about Amin Adli to have anything to say on it, really, to be honest. He's going into a completely different system than he's been playing at
Yeah,
Leverkusen, so I think it's a big move for him now. So we'll
yeah,
have to wait and see. I hope it works out because I think Bournemouth were outside Liverpool. Bournemouth were one of my favorite teams to watch last year. They were just so direct, so good at attacking. They can slip him in and Ben Doak on the other sides, and then you have geez, they've so many players now. They have Clivert, Semenyo. I think they've a really really potentially brilliant attacking talent there.
yeah, they do. And with Okafor, like to score only didn't play a whole lot last year, but to score only once in the Serie A, year before he had six in 28 games. It's not like really someone breaking ground at 25 years of
No,
age. But as you said, a breakout can come at any time, but it's not looking likely. But the season of the undefeated domestic year for Bayer
Leverkusen.
Leverkusen.
Yeah,
He was very good as kind of like a backup. He had in total 10 goals and 12 assists in 42 appearances. Now he did take a step back last year, but he only had 28 appearances, so it was a little bit tougher. I think he had injuries and things like that. So I think it's worth taking a flyer. He can play through the middle as well. He mostly does kind of play through the middle. So I think Evan Nilsson to have a backup there is important because he has Evan Nilsson has potential, but sometimes he misses absolute sitters, and you're like, how
yeah.
is he missing that? Kind of like Rodrigo Muniz for me a bit. But
Mm,
last two then are rumored, not really rumored. They're basically done, but it's like Fabrizio is the one who said it's done. So yeah, until we get the Ornstein fully signed
mm,
up for someone else, then we're not going to say it's definitely done. But Milan, they've reached an agreement with Chelsea to sign Nkunku. That's for 42 million euro and a sell-on clause. If he's how is he worth 42 million? Similar price to like Dango Ouattara. I know we keep bringing him up, but like
yeah,
Nkunku has so much more talent and potential
yeah,
in my eyes. And then the other one, just before we get your thoughts, is just come in a few minutes before we started recording. Nick Faltamata to Newcastle over 80 million euro plus I think around 5 million euro in add-ons. It's going to be a long-term deal with Newcastle. So they've finally got their first striker anyway. They'll probably aim to get another one.
yeah. First of all, happy birthday, David Ornstein, announced Isaac.
Yeah,
When I went on to his page a while ago, the balloons
balloons.
came up. So yeah, so happy birthday to you. What's the first? Oh yeah, Nick Nkunku.
Yeah,
Like Chelsea just wasted him. I know he did his ACL in his first season and he didn't get a look in then, but he was scoring goals for fun in the Conference League, and I know that's basically League Two, but he never got a look in the Premier League after that. I just thought it was really strange. It was just kind
yeah,
of Maresca decided he was never going to like him, so he was always going to end up going. They have so many players there they need to get rid of still. So they're probably just accepting fees that sound like they're
yeah,
good money. And then the start of the forward, like, oh yeah, we'll take that. They'll probably take 40 million for Nicholas Jackson as well, 20 for Sterling. They just need to get these lads out the door before in the next 5 days, or geez, you're paying an awful lot of money in wages then when you have a 42-man squad, but I think you use 25 of them.
yeah, yeah.
Um, then Fulton I'm not 100% convinced in him, but he is very, very young. I think he's 6'6". He's a really, really
Oh,
big
it's
lad.
massive.
So, but
He was
I
good in the
watched him.
Euros, the under 21s. He had some
Yeah,
down games, but he had some good games too.
yeah. But he played for the German senior team, I think, against Spain in the Nations League over the summer, and like he
Yeah,
was absolutely horrific. His
yeah,
first
but he
touch was
was, as you
horrific.
said,
Every
he's a
single
young fella,
touch just
so
went wrong. Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see. I'm just glad they're signing a striker, to be honest, and hopefully the other striker then they stop. They just let him go.
Yeah, I think
I'm so bored of it. I'm
yeah,
so
it
bored of
is
it. This
quite boring,
season
and I think
nonsense.
they've cut ties. That they both seem to be done with each other. So I think
Yeah,
it's a good thing now to get in a replacement. I think they did a good thing by getting in a young player who has like the physicality, the size, the potential. Someone that Bayern are interested in Germany shows that he has talent. And then
yeah,
if they do get a Premier League proven guy in there in Larson or Wissa in the last week, I think that's good. That's a good matchup to have
yeah.
those
I
two
think that's
together.
good as well.
Um,
I think it's very like the Isaac deal they did in general. So it's a fella 21 or 22.
yeah.
It's the same around the same price, 64 million, just a bit more expensive. It's kind of like let's see what he can do in the next 3 or 4 years and see if we
Mhm.
can get the 120 million for him again. Now they obviously at some stage they are going to want to get a striker and keep him for 10 years and try and fire him to a Premier League, but I think I think selling Isaac now is the best thing they can do. Get that money in, bring in their strikers, get their backup striker. I've so much praise for that team from Monday night. I thought they were absolutely exceptional.
Yeah,
I think they really
unbelievable.
are going places this year if they can just get someone to put the ball on the net from because that header in particular, Anthony Gordon missed in the first half.
I know.
Like
Isaac would
Isaac's not
bury
missing
that.
that.
This
He's
fellow would
not
bury
missing that.
that.
This fella, yeah, of course he would. So it's kind of like they need an actual number nine in there to help him. And then when you have Alanga one side, Anthony Gordon the other side, Harvey Barnes the backup. It's just pace, 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 and then they arguably have one of the strongest midfield in the league when they're all facing those three
Yeah.
that started on Monday night as well. Tonali is an absolute, he's a superstar. He's a Rolls Royce. What a player. Bruno is the kind of the hard tackling, just a monster. He's a press a monster. And then Joe Linton can make 100 fouls and not get booked, which is really handy for a central midfield router as well. So
Well, when you keep fouling people all the time, the refs have to start being like he needs a hard one before he gets. But
yeah, it's mad.
yeah, I agree. The team looks, and I actually like some of the signings they've made in general, like getting Chow in
Mm.
and Ramsey, and getting in Alanga. These kind of guys that may not be starting every single game, but they've got really good depth. And I mentioned to my dad, who is a Newcastle fan, as we've mentioned before, that Alanga will work way better if you have a big striker and you have someone who can score headers, like with Chris Wood. And this guy
Mm.
is it's a perfect formula
He's
there. But
going to score headers. Yeah.
one point actually on Nkunku before we move on is just I think before when they were looking at Garnacho maybe in January, United there was a proposal of a swap deal for Nkunku for Garnacho, and they said they wanted more money than Garnacho just directly for a swap. Now they're selling Nkunku for 42 million euro, and it looks like they're going to spend close to 50 million euro on Garnacho, going the other
Mad.
way. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I would have liked to see Nkunku at United, so I would have taken him. But yeah, that's all the transfers we've got for this week. We'll move on to the NBA previews. We've got three more teams. We had Michael on last week, of course, so that was a pleasure. But we've got three more teams to plow through this week. So we'll start with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Where do you need to improve most from last season?
Rebounds, first of all. There's a lot of places, but that's the main thing. Their opponents pull down around 45 point is exactly I don't know why I said around exactly 45.3 per game last season, and they pulled down themselves 43.4, and those are both bottom 10 in the league. So that's going to be something they need to improve on. I'm not sure if Miles Turner helps them in this way, but I suppose having two big bodies with him and Giannis should theoretically help, but it's obviously not a guarantee. But that's an important thing to for them to get second chance points and continue to up in general the shots that they can put up.
Yeah, I do. I had that in my list as well, but I didn't go with that. I went with, and it's kind of something they have looked at already, but they really needed to add some depth in the front court to help Giannis. As you said, they've made that signing now, so it's a good place to start. But they were quite poor last year in terms of kind of ball handling. Who was going to be the one with the ball if it wasn't Giannis? So to have that a bit more flexibility going into this season now is going to help them a good bit.
Yeah, and I just think in the backup center as well, like they have Jericho Sims there. I'm not sure if that's going to cut it. So any injuries, they're kind of in a bad way, really. So
Mm.
they need to pray that they don't have the same injury luck that they've had in recent years.
What player? Which? Jeez, one under the radar player that you like for the Bucks, please. Took me long enough to
So
get that out.
so I've got Gary Trent Jr. I don't really like too many things on this roster, but He contributed mostly from the bench last season. He played 25 minutes per game, and he had 11 points down that stretch. We've seen him start for the Raptors, we've seen him start for the Blazers. For the Raptors, I think the highest he got up to was 18 points per game at 35 minutes. So he can do it if he does start. I think I mentioned before listening to Doc Rivers on the Bill Simmons podcast, and
Yeah.
he seems to really like him and have a lot of faith that he can continue to grow. So once he likes somebody, he generally plays them kind of into the ground. So let's see if he can continue to be a good part of this team. Did you have someone different?
No, I actually had him as well. I just think he like I think he will be coming in to be a starting player this season. The Bucks playoff record of 9 threes in a game as well is a bit mad. So I think there's only one way he's going as well. And as you said, Doc Rivers seems to really like him, and that's only a good thing when he likes you because you are going to play an absolute ton of games.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you think they'll hit the over or under with their wins at the bookies? It's 43.5.
Yeah, so 48 wins last year. I think they'll manage it with Miles Turner, and now they're in kind of a weakened East. Although the East wasn't any great shakes last year, it is not as good this year. I was kind of teetering on this because I was thinking if Giannis leaves, there's probably little chance that they do this, and if things start to go wrong, I
Mm.
could see them leaving mid-season, requesting a trade. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now and say that they'll get over it probably around the mid 40s mark.
Yeah, the same as you. It's kind of like I'm kind of going with the fact that Giannis will stay for the whole season. I'm going over from as well. I think they will get to close to 48 again if he stays. If not, then they're not breaking. They won't break 40 if he goes. They might get
Yeah,
around 35. So I think it's a massive difference if he stays or goes. It really is the make or break for the season.
yeah, I agree definitely.
And finally, on the Bucks, what is their ceiling with the current roster and coach for the season ahead?
I said if Giannis stays, then 50 wins in an easy East and get into the second round of the playoffs. But I think they don't have enough to go any further than that in terms of depth. And I'm not sure. Doc Rivers is a good coach, but he's not what he used to be. And in recent years, he hasn't had a whole lot of playoff success. So I think that's the absolute push. But if Giannis leaves, it's a whole different story. So I'm going with the fact that he's there right now, and that could be the push for them.
Yeah, same as myself. With him staying there, I think they can get a top four in the East. If they stay healthy, their defense tightens up, they bring down more rebounds than their opponents, then they can definitely get their playoff game. They can definitely win a couple of series. If anyone's wondering, their title odds at the moment are apparently 40-1. I wouldn't be backing it myself, but someone out there might have a look at it.
Yeah, yeah, it's fairly high for a team who's won it in the last number of years, and arguably
Yeah.
has the one of the best players in the league, probably the best in the East right now. So yeah, it's interesting. One, as you mentioned, I won't be going near it either, but I think it's something if
No.
someone really likes them, it's a possibility.
Yeah. Moving on to the Pistons then, if that's okay. Where did the Pistons need to improve most from last season?
So they were bottom 10 in three pointers attempted in the league with 35.4 per game. They need to spread the floor more in general for Cade to be more effective. If if he's going to have more space to drive into the paint, he's strong, he's physical. If they're taking more threes and there's more space inside, it's going to make life easier for him. Now, I do think Jaden Ivey, when he's fit, is going to be massive for that. We saw it at times before his really horrific injury. And then they signed Duncan Robinson, who can't do anything else apart from shoot threes. So it shows they have the same line of thinking as me. But
Yeah.
where do you have for them to improve?
So the fact they were so good defensively last year made it kind of hard to go anything other than how bad they have been offensively. So I just said they need to involve further offensively. They need to like their spacing, their shot creation it was really, really poor last year. They need to improve that last year. Or sorry, this year coming. Because they do have the potential to be a really, really solid team.
Yeah, yeah, they really do, especially with that really strong defense. It's
Yeah.
hard to look away from them, but uh, two things: fitness in general with them, and players staying fit, and then more creative play offensively, and that's going to come in time with Cade, but you can't rely on him for everything. So
Mm.
opening up the floor with threes is definitely going to help.
Yeah, 100%. I'll go first on this one. So, who was the one under the radar player for the team? I got with Ron Holland. 81 games last year, only 2 starts, but in the 16 minutes, he was scoring 6 points per game. he's really versatile. He's strong. He's defensively. He's kind of like he's very very solid when he comes on defensively. If he can develop further, he could very easily get up to a couple of starts, get more minutes up, and then start averaging 10 to 12 points a game if things go the way they're going.
Yeah, interesting show. He fights very hard as well, which is something they want. They want somebody who's physical and doesn't give up on anything. So I like that. I've gone with the twin of your beloved Amen Thompson, Osar
What a
Thompson.
man!
He's an absolute monster, just like his brother. 53.5% from the floor last season. Very, very efficient. 5 rebounds per game and two and a half steals and blocks. If he didn't have those blood clot injuries, he'd be further along in his development, but I think he's already
Yeah,
very, very far along. He just comes out of nowhere sometimes with some of the defensive plays that he can make, which is imperative for this team, the way they play defensively. Athletic, very big, fast, strong, everything you want, and he's going to be one of the best players in the East in the next 10 years, in my opinion. So, yeah, I really like him.
yeah. Yeah, the two of them are just monsters. Like normally when twins come out, you think, oh, one of them is not going to be as good as the other one. But the two of them just do they do everything so well. They're both so efficient. They're so strong. They're like dogs when they're going after a piece of meat. Like once they see the ball, they're going for it. They're not stopping. I can't believe how alike the two of them are in terms of how they play.
When you said
I absolutely adore Amy Thompson.
when you said when twins come out, I thought you were going to say that like straight away. You just rule one of them out when they're born.
Oh no. I'm not sure my parents did that anyway. I must
Yeah,
ask them if they did that when me and Paula
yeah.
were born, but no, I don't think so.
Maybe you were ruled out early on. Hope not. You wouldn't have made
Could
it
have been.
onto this illustrious podcast if you were. So definitely not.
Absolutely. I think both of them are absolutely going to the moon. The two of them are, and
One
I'm
hundred
glad you
percent
brought him
agree.
up because I really was looking forward to talking about him. Um, do you think they'll hit their over or under with the bookies?
45 and a half. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, they'll get there. 44 last year. And I think they can get around what the Bucks had last year, which was 48.
Mm.
They're not the finished article, but they have a good coach and a very, very good star player, a solid defense. And as we've said a number of times, the East is kind of weak. So definitely they can get there. I think it's a high enough line for a team that jumped up massively last year, but I think they'll just jump up again. So I have over.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I said 46 to 48, a bit like yourself as well. I think they're really good. They have like Kate Cunningham, if he continues getting better, they have people around him. Then obviously Thompson, Ivy, Holland, if he can make any strides, I think they could definitely be. Yeah, they'll go over. I think.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And
Go ahead then. Last one.
yeah, so finally for them then is the seeding with their current coach and roster.
This is a tough one because like you don't want to jump too much on teams that they make like too much progress because I think they have like a lot of
Mm,
potential. But they showed last year that they could really battle with the Knicks in the first round. I said it was going to be a tough one and that it would go far, and it did. It inevitably went to 6 games. It should have went to more with some of the decisions that were made across the by the
yeah,
referee there. But I think they can go one better this year. I don't want to jump too far. I think they can get to the second round. They're not quite there yet to get any further, but they're definitely on the way up. I think that's probably a ceiling for them to get to the second round.
yeah. I said they can get to 50 wins in the second round as well. If everything goes right for them. Like if we're here saying they'll get 46 to 48, and that's kind of just us kind of in the middle ground. I think if we're talking about a ceiling from, they can definitely get to that 50 win mark, and they'll win a first round of the playoffs this year as well.
No, definitely. I think they will. I think almost the floor for them is winning in the first round unless they get a really bad
Mm,
matchup. But then I think it's also a ceiling probably not getting any further than that because they're kind of in that their growing period where yeah, it's hard to see them going too far. But a team on a whole
yeah,
different level
100%.
is the Bulls who we're going to move on to next. That's
Yeah.
just a whole different kettle of fish.
Oh, I actually I was sitting there and I was like, what is actually the point in talking about them? Because they're just going to do the exact same thing every year. But we'll start anyway with where do they need to improve most? I'm sure there's a long list probably written on your wall with the amount of things they need to improve on. But
Yeah,
which one have you gone with?
it was hard to pick one thing, but their defense in general, like just how many points they allow to other teams. It's
Mm,
crazy. Like their offense wasn't even that bad last year, but the defense, 119.4 points allowed per game. Only the Wizards and
yeah,
Jazz were worse. Those two teams were trying to lose with everything they had to get the number one overall pick. And for some reason, the
they
Bulls
were
were
worse
trying to
than the
win.
Nets, like, which is incredible. Like, imagine conceding more points than that Nets team.
I know. We're talking about two teams at the end last week, the Nets, and this week the Bulls. It just, what's even the point? But what did you have for their place to improve?
Same as you. Defensive consistency just needs. They just need to actually make an effort. You can't be conceding 120 points a game and expect you're going to come out of too many of them on top. They really do need to fix that massively.
Yeah, 100%.
Who's one under the radar player you like for the team?
I really like Matas Bazelis. Um,
Yeah.
I couldn't read. There's no one else. There's no one under the radar. Like there's guys who are obviously on the radar of everyone, in like Vucevic and Josh Giddey and stuff. But he's kind of under the radar. He was someone they drafted last year. Started 31 games, played 80 in total, 8.5 points, 3.5 boards, one block per game. He will shoot threes. He needs to improve his efficiency there in shooting numbers, but he will shoot them. And he got all rookie second team. I think he could have pushed
Mm.
to get to the cusp of all rookie first team. To be honest, he played pretty hard. If he was on a better team, he probably would have been closer. But yeah, I like him. I think I would say you probably have the same guy.
Yeah, that's the reason I laughed when you said it. There was literally no options. Like, I wasn't going to sit here and say, "Oh, Josh Giddey is under the radar." No, he's not. Everyone knows about him. And anyone they have that is does anything that makes a highlight reel is it's so easy to talk about him because they have no one else. So yeah, it was, and I'm glad you said his name first and saved me having to do it. I'm not going to try and butcher it again. But do you think they'll hit the over or under wins with the bookies?
I've gone
It's
with
32 and a half, I think.
yeah, 32 and a half. I've just gone with yeah because they're just gonna do the same thing. Like you said, like last year they had
Mm,
39, they got into the play, and the main thing they should do this season is tank. But they won't. They just hold on to a few pieces just to keep them enough to win enough games to get to the play-in, and then they lose in the play-in, and they're like, oh well,
mm.
what is the point in that? There's absolutely no point in doing what they do every year. So I'm gonna say yeah, even though I really don't think they should.
I agree. I said the same thing. I think they'll go over and reach the play-in, but that's literally their ceiling. I'll just go straight to the next question because I don't need to talk too
So,
much about them. But their ceiling is the play-in for me at best. They'll get to the play-in, win 36, 37 games, and then just get knocked out, and their fans be like, "Why did we do the same thing again?" It's like because you're tick. That's the only
yeah,
reason. Like if you're not tanking, then you're tick.
I think it's really bad as well for like a storied franchise like the Bulls to be behaving in that way
Mm.
where they're just happy to be mediocre. Like no one wants to see that. And I've gone a mad one here for them. They're gonna win a play in this time. Every year they get bounced out of it. I'm gonna go. Let's see them get the eighth seed this year in an absolute mad one and get absolutely hammered in the first round of the playoffs. Someone has to get hammered in the first round against the one seed, so let's just make it
True.
them this time around.
Yeah.
But that's yeah, far too much time on the Bulls. No, like just pointless year on year doing the same thing. So let's move on to our draft. Quite an interesting one for you since we're coming up on the international break. We'll probably have some Irish soccer moments here, but the best Irish sporting moments since 2000. Um, Shane, are you ready for this one?
No, I think I need another 8 hours of research before I can actually narrow this down to five because there's
This is
just
so tough.
like when I was looking it up, I was like, there's actually so much across so many different sports that it is quite hard to just pick five here. But
Yeah,
is it me or you first?
you're first.
I
You're
think
first.
yeah. You picked United first last week in a
This fella
shocking call.
knows. He even knows this week who's first, but we're just gonna keep the bit going where we don't know. So, right,
I
let's have
think
it.
there was only one pick for first, which I'm delighted with, and I'm going to go with the Robbie Brady goal against Italy.
Man,
Um, just the scenes in every house in the country when that went in, it was just unbelievable. So it could only be that for me, to be honest.
yeah, that for me is probably my favorite, probably top three sporting memories. It was just
Yeah.
absolutely unbelievable. I'd say if I didn't start crying, I'd say I was very close to it. I was
Yeah,
going absolutely nuts at that. Unbelievable, because we just thought before that they had squandered it with that Houlihan
yeah.
chance, and then Houlihan puts that peach of a ball in, and Brady buries it.
What a cross.
So yeah, that was an unbelievable moment. I actually had it a little bit lower because I just think some other achievements and moments were really, really special for a lot of reasons. So I'm gonna take my one and two here. First one is Katie Taylor, gold medal at the 2012 Olympics. Just so special. I think that was just an amazing moment. The whole country, and there's a few Katie Taylor mentions possibly on this, but
Yeah.
that moment was just unbelievable in 2012. The whole country was watching and egging her on, and just to see her winning gold, and she's the flag bearer for us at that Olympics, and to see her kind of stand there with the national anthem blaring out, that was special. And then my second one is Ireland beating New Zealand for the first time in
I knew that.
2016. That was unbelievable in Soldier Field in Chicago. Went over there, first time ever to beat New Zealand, showed them what we're all about, and we continued from there really in our rugby success. But that was a special, special moment for everybody watching and over at the game.
I actually wrote those two down for you before you said anything. So I try and get a bit ahead so it doesn't look like I'm typing the whole thing. I had it the other way around. I had Ireland, New Zealand top for you and Katie Taylor Olympic gold a second. And
Yeah,
they're
I
yeah,
just
two
love
really,
Kate
really good
Taylor so
picks.
much. I think she's the Irish sporting goat for me. So
Yeah.
had to throw her in
She's
that.
actually next in my pick, winning her fifth boxing world championship in 2014.
Hmm.
And this was kind of she'd won the gold in 2012 and then was like, oh, what can you do next? And she went and did this. Then you're like, all right, she really is the real deal here, and she's just gone from strength to strength since then. Been absolutely
Yeah,
incredible. Everything she does, she's such a good role model for every single person in this country. Um, obviously played Ireland, played for soccer for Ireland as well. Um,
yeah,
and now is just doing this, and still
like
like she won again a couple of weeks back, and she was just incredible. Like so,
yeah,
what a
three and a
moment!
bounce
Honestly,
against
what a moment!
Ireland.
Yeah, which is really really impressive. What will I go with third? I'm gonna hope this one counts. Does McIlroy winning the Masters this year count? Is he Irish or is he Northern Irish or is he British or
I don't know. I find that a tough one. I don't know what his. He hasn't really said his allegiance outright.
no?
So I don't know. It's whatever you want to say for that. But personally, I think I would stick with from definitely like announce that they're kind of representing Ireland in general.
Yeah,
Whereas, but
Grant.
if you want to take it,
Yeah.
take it. Like
No, I have another one. I'm gonna go with the O'Gara drop goal against Wales. I think it secured the Grand Slam.
man,
That was just some moment. I remember watching that down with my parents. And it was just outrageous. He didn't even hit it well, and he said it in the interview himself after. He was like, I sliced it, it bobbled over the bar instead of going and flying over. But what? That was just an outrageous bit of rugby, and what a player he was.
that was my next pick. I should have let you have the McIlroy one, but
Yeah.
that was an unbelievable moment. That's like probably one of the first. I was 8 at that time. As like one of the
Wow.
first sport memories I have, to be honest. I just remember that and going crazy. Like you remember things just when you're younger. That was unbelievable. Yeah, I'm raging. You got that one, but anyway, I have a few more Katie Taylor ones. I'll probably mention them at the end as honorable mentions. I want to give some
Yeah.
other people
Fair.
some props here. So the next one I've got is in 2024 Olympics, Paul O'Donovan becoming the first Irish Olympian to win medals in 3 Olympics in a row. Um, Unbelievable, like unbelievable feat. He's one of the best in the world at his sport. He has a world record, and he's multiple medals at world championships and at the Olympics, and with more than one partner he's been with in double sculls, I believe is the kind of class that he races in. So that was a
Mm.
really special moment seeing that somebody representing Ireland to do it for the first time 3 times in a row. And then next up, I've got Ireland winning the Grand Slam in the Six Nations in 2018. It couldn't be any better. Beating England on St. Patrick's Day and winning the Grand
Yeah.
Slam. Yeah, that was an unbelievable moment. And yeah, just getting that in. That was the first time since that O'Gara drop goal that they'd won the Grand Slam. So 9 years on,
Yeah,
that was a special one. So that's my next pick.
nice. I had that on my list as well. Obviously, I didn't actually have the Paula Donovan one, which is I'm annoyed at myself for not even thinking about that. To be honest, I'm going to go for a bit of a rogue one next. I'm going to go with Rachel Blackmore winning the Gold Cup back in 2022. Absolutely incredible. Um, she had 18 winners at Cheltenham, all in all, but 2022 winning the Gold Cup is obviously the highlight. She retired this year after what a career she has. I won't claim to be the biggest horse racing fan. I won't sit down and watch it very often, but I just thought like that was just such a proud moment for the country when she went and just literally walked it in on a plus tard. Really, really cool. And finally, what am I going to go with? I had 10 moments here, and I think we've pretty much well, we've knocked one out because McIlroy doesn't count, so we're down to nine. I think eight of the nine are in the list here between us. I'm going to have to go with the Irish women's team qualifying for the World Cup in
Yeah,
2023 for the first. I know they went there and did absolutely nothing, other than score directly from a corner, but
that was nice.
it was really cool. It was just good to see that like they'd put so much work in over the previous years to finally get that recognition, get the payoff. Um, I think it can only be a good thing for Irish football if we can keep a women's team that are competing at any sort of a level. They did end up in a group with three of the top four teams in the world, so it was only going one way in fairness, but it was really cool to see him there in the first place.
Yeah, I had that on my list too. Actually, the only thing I have on my list left that's not Katie Taylor related is what I'll take last. It's Shane Lowry winning the 2019 British
Yeah.
Open. That one was on in Northern Ireland. The way he played was absolutely unbelievable. First two rounds were quality, but in that third round he set a course record shooting a 63 on that third day, and I think he won by about 6 shots in the end. So that was a
Mm.
really special moment for him to get to his name. So we've got one golf one there covered off, but I really like that Rachel Blackmore one. That was what I was gonna pick as my last pick, and I left it for my last thing because I didn't think you would go near it. So I'm annoyed that I didn't pick it earlier, but I'll settle for Shane Lowry here at the last one. So
Yeah.
do you want to rattle off what you've got?
Yeah, so I have Robbie Brady scoring against Italy, Katie Taylor winning her fifth boxing gold world championship in 2014, Ronan O'Gara's drop goal against Wales, Rachel Blackmore winning the 2022 Gold Cup, and the Irish women's team qualifying for the World Cup.
Yeah, so I've got Katie Taylor gold medal at the 2012 Olympics, Ireland beating New Zealand for the first time in 2016 in Chicago, Paul O'Donovan becoming the first Irish Olympian to win a medal at three straight Olympics, all of those being gold, and he won many more along the way. Next up, I had the Irish Six Nations Grand Slam in 2018 versus England and to clinch it on St. Patrick's Day. And then Shane Lowry, 2019 Royal Portrush Open Championship winner. It's great to get a representation of both male and female sports here. There's so many special moments
Yeah.
since 2000, and so many more that we could have mentioned. The special one I wanted to know about Katie Taylor, one I thought was a massive moment was when she did lose to Cameron in the first fight, and she came back and fought her again in the Three Arena in 2023. Um, that was an unbelievable fight, an unbelievable display,
Mm.
and the emotion that she had after. I was mesmerized by that fight, and second female boxer to be the undisputed champ in two classes at that point. So that's an honorable mention I had left off the list. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's mad when you think about it. So we beat New Zealand for the first time in 2016 after never beating them. And
Yeah,
since then, have we beaten them three times? So
yeah,
Chicago and
four,
two other
four more
times?
times I think.
Four
I think it's
times.
5-5 in
So
the
like
last time.
it's mad when you think about like just getting that monkey off their back of actually winning the one game has just opened them up to be able to skate. Well, now we know we can compete with them at this kind of a level, and they can just go and do it now. Just the one that will always annoy me is that quarterfinal in the World Cup.
And I was just about
That
to say
just
probably when they were at their weakest and we couldn't do it. It's just that's the
yeah,
next one we need to get off our
ridiculous.
back. Actually, getting through to a semi
Yeah,
final at
getting
least
out
of a
of a
World Cup.
quarterfinal. Yeah,
So hopefully we see that soon. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. All the usual good stuff. It really helps us out if you leave a rating or you subscribe if you're not already across whatever channels and keep an eye out on our social media. Obviously, we've got lots of good stuff out there all the time. And yeah, next week double episode, so keep an eye out for those. Shane, I'll throw it to you to wrap it.
Here's lads, we'll talk to you on Wednesday. Yeah,
Wednesday.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be recording on Tuesday, so we'll talk to you on Wednesday. Thanks very much. Just keep watching, keep enjoying it, hopefully, and see you soon.
Nice one, lads.